This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is show for the week of December 1st, 2025. And this is what's going on in our Disney World. And dramatic pause because there's nothing going on our Disney World. It's a very, very slow news week, Phil. You scoured the internet for something.
I did. I was going through like posts and tweets and stuff like that. And I was like, after like 2 or 3, I was like, oh, we're back to like last week's stuff. Like there's a lot of things going on because I think like the holiday parties are going on. So everyone's talking about the food and like Festival of the Holidays kicked off at Epcot. So there's like a new show in one of the countries and stuff like that. But there's really nothing going on, which kind of makes sense, right? It's Thanksgiving week. They're probably not going to dump a bunch of great, amazing news while everyone's kind of busy filling themselves with turkey and stuff like that. And apparently everyone's busy going to see Zootopia too, because it just had a record opening for the animation 500 film globally.
533 million or something like that globally?
565 or something like that. And it made 250 million in China alone. It was like, it's just...
So they're going to do well with this movie, I think.
Yeah. Did you see it yet?
I have not. I know you did.
Yeah. So there's I didn't want to spoil something in it. So that's all right.
Okay. I know that there's like a post-credit scene. I'm assuming that's what you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
About.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a lot of games. We're going to be playing a few, 5 things, ... So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But luckily, we were saved by BioReconstruct with some really good pictures today. So we're going to talk about that in our construction updates. But before we get into all of that, reminder of our social media at the DBC Pod everywhere. And make sure you join our Discord server. Links are everywhere. And we want to welcome Mr. Sheep to the server. He was listening to the pod periodically. And he said he just got done with his first trip, I think, if I remember correctly.
First trip as a parent.
Oh, first trip as a parent, which is basically your first trip because it's completely different at that point.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining. Hopefully you join the conversation and join this week's DBC engagement question, which we'll get to a little later on. Okay, so first, Phil, let's do the construction updates before we start playing some games because that's kind of newsy, right? Even though there's not too much going on. And they're both at Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. First at Magic Kingdom, Rivers of America. All the trees are now down, Phil. Like, what did we have? Like mid to late November was our before and after.
I think so, yeah.
Date. And it's kind of after, I get by a couple days, but generally we're speaking November. We were thinking, right? So I'm pleasantly pleased with the speed that this is going on. So if you want to see what Rivers of America is, it's not completely flattened yet. There's still like you can see where the islands are. I guess it's like concrete and stuff like that they haven't bulldozed. Or like all the old cave structures and stuff like that are. But some of the land that's like on the other side of where the train tracks were is being filled in with sand. They're starting to kind of level the ground, getting it ready. So I'm super psyched to see what comes next. Phil, if you had to predict, what is like the next steps? Like, are we going to, is it going to stay like it is now? Or are we going to see continue flattening of the land?
I'm assuming it's going to get flattened at some point, right? Because it's not going to be the exact same track and stuff like that. They're going to have to, flatten it out. And I guess I'm interested to see when they start maybe like kind of making that division between what's going to be Piston Peak and what's going to be Villains Land and where that kind of walkway that goes between them is going to go and stuff like that. That might be something we see formed in a little bit.
I mean, we have to get ready for a little bit of, what's the word? It's not disappointment, but like we can't get antsy with progress because all the demo crews are basically clearing everything out, and there's probably going to be a delay when the demo crew goes out, and then maybe we start building, kind of like the whole Encanto Tropical Americas thing.
Yeah,
nothing was really happening, but then once it started, it started, right? So I'm curious to see how all that goes down and what kind of cranes and other things that might be put in its place at that point. So that's all down. It's some really great pictures by Bio. If you go on X or Blue Sky, he posts on both sites depending on your preference. Some really cool shots on there. And then over into Hollywood Studios, there's 2 updates. One somewhat minor, but a milestone. The first one, Monsters Land, the door coaster. The concrete is being now poured in the ground, so structure has started. I know there was like some footings and something like this, but now like structure is starting, right? So it's moving on.
And one of the posts by actually explains like what happens. They basically and I saw the machine there that like drills the holes or whatever down, and then they fill it with concrete. And that kind of becomes like the footings or supports that really go into the ground. And then they kind of even them off and pour concrete on top of it. So that's what we're seeing now is like the concrete, the floor really of what I think is going to be the gravity building for the coaster is being poured now.
So that's really cool. They're moving pretty fast on that. I guess we have to say that if you were going to tell me what if Monsters Land or Piston Peak was going to start pouring concrete first, like 8 months ago or whenever we found out about all this stuff, I would say Piston Peak would be first, but like Monsters, like they're not waiting for any kind of phased approach. They're just rocking.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens between this and an Animal Kingdom with Encanto and stuff like that. Like, it was always assumed that Encanto Land or Tropical Americas was going to be opening first, but they're really motoring with Monsters. So I don't know if they want to get that area done or.
Do you think now it's going to be interesting, right? Because we'll have a new CEO next year, and there's probably going to be an announcement and then like a phase out of Iger, right? Like he's going to slow play his leave this time, but I think sanctioned and not kind of haphazard like last time.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to see how lockstep the new CEO is with the timeline or if he wants to accelerate it. Now, my question to you, Phil, is do you think that they will kind of phase the launchings for like marketing purposes, or do you think that they're like open it as soon as it's ready to go to start attracting
it'll be interesting to see. I think they definitely need to have some phasing with marketing and some strategy around that, but I think it might be just stuff's going. If the plan was X but Y is going faster, like we're not going to just not do Y because we said X was going to go first or whatever. I think there's enough going on. Before when there wasn't much going on, they kind of had to space out what they had. There's so much going on that I think they can kind of, as stuff's ready, roll it out. With a little bit, they'll obviously, delay it by a certain.
I mean, basically, my thing is like they're not going to Tron this thing up, right? Where it stays like whatever.
That's what I was thinking of. Like they're not going to purposely hold something back necessarily when it's ready to go, but they'll have some sort of strategy around the marketing for things.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward. I think it'd be interesting to look back in maybe a year from now as we're kind of doing our end of the year kind of podcasty things which we'll be doing in the coming weeks is, how we could track the progress of Monsters Land and Tropical Americas is like toe to toe, how things are going and see which one goes first, which one's coming along fast. Obviously, Tropical Americas is a much larger project.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't even closed Dinosaur yet and stuff like that.
So maybe I don't think Monsters Land can open. I still think it's about a year and a half off, if I had to guess, right? I mean, you can't make a brand new roller coaster, test it, and do all the other things in a year and a half when you're just pouring the floor in. The other update was for Animation Courtyard. And essentially the whole area is now dirt between all the buildings. There's like no cement, there's no concrete, there's nothing. It's just dirt in there, and they're kind of getting ready to go. I'm assuming they're doing that because they're planting trees, so that you get trees in the ground at that point. So I've never really realized this before, but like with the whole area kind of just naked, like how off-centered that whole area is.
Yeah.
Like, you look down the arch, which usually framed it, that's why you can't really tell. But like you go in, it's just like a lot of extra room to the right a little bit. So I'm curious.
Well, I think that's also, there were some of those like awnings and stuff where the meet and greets were and stuff that kind of filled up that spot a little bit. But yeah, it definitely goes over towards the building where the Disney Junior area was. It goes over that way, probably more than you think.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how everything gets put together. I wonder if anything that they put in now will give us clues what they plan on doing in the future of this area, because this is I still have to think that this is like a 3 to 5 year kind of add-on before they do something else in this area, whatever that might be, that second half or It's looking like Zootopia Land might go in here if
well.
this thing hits $2 billion, globally, right? So we'll see. But those are the only updates I have for those two things. You were kind of posting some things that I missed in Discord in our channel. Did I miss anything?
Nope. Those are the two
right?
that I saw. The only other thing I saw was again from Bio. He had some more on the areas kind of like between Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. There's that one area that was there's like kind of seating now that you can tell like into the side, and we don't know if there's going to be more than that or just a rest area or whatever, but more work's going on there too. There's a lot of like little projects going on at Hollywood Studios. So
yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, so we're gonna go play a couple games because there's not a lot of news today, and one of them was the one I came up with, and the first thing is 5 things Walt Disney World is missing right now. Right. So these are 5 things that were like, I really wish Disney World had these things. The place would be much better if they had more of these. It would make more of my trips more enjoyable. As frequent visitors as we are, we tend to see like every time we go, it's like kind of the same as the last time we were there, minus whatever festival was going on at Epcot. So these are things I would love to see more of. So you miss an well, we'll talk about them as we go along. So I think, Phil, let's go. Do you want to do all of ours once? Because all of yours are basically what I was going to put. Because,
maybe a little bit overlap or whatever, but maybe just.
Well, why don't you start? When you start, you go through all of yours. I'll comment as you go along.
Yeah. So what I tried to do was think of things that could have been there by now if Disney had thought about it. So these aren't things that we want to come in the future, but if Disney had thought about it beforehand, that things that could be here now, but we'd still like to see them added in the future. First thing that came to mind as a family of 5 is that I wish there were more sleeping options for bigger families. So more kind of family suites or just rooms that fit 5 or 6 or 7. But in values or moderate resorts. We know there's in the Art of Animation and one of the all-stars there are the family suites, but they're a little pricey because there's not that many of them. I don't think there's anything in the moderates like that. So kind of just more options for that can fit more people in rooms at a kind of a lower price point to get on property.
This is like my number one thing, right? Yeah. It's no more poignant than our last trip. We stayed in I can't remember the brand, but it was one of the larger hotel brands in the country. And it's probably, it was not a Hilton. Anyway, we bought a night stay, and it slept 6. It was 2 queen size beds and bunk beds, pretty large, like kind of double bunk beds. And perfect for families of 4 with grandparents or families with a lot of other extra kids, right? That type of thing. 3+ kids. And the stay was like $160 a night, like basically an expensive value cost, right?
Yeah.
And then we transitioned to the family suite in Art of Animation, and we loved that room. I don't know if I love it for $600 a night again, right? Because I mean, obviously my mother came with us and she paid some money into the cost of the room. But like, I want that room for just me and my 3 kids. We had our own separate bedroom. There's a living space. There's room to move around. You're not like shoved in like a 2 double bedroom, like the 5th sleeper in the Caribbean Beach or something else like that. So I would love to see more affordable solutions like that. But again, not at the price at like a low end deluxe price range type thing.
Yeah, agreed. This is probably like a large bucket, but I put just more things that are outside of the attractions. It seems like so many people, sometimes you see people just sitting around waiting for like their return time for a lightning lane or their ADR or something like that. Just things that keep people busy, and they are adding some more things, especially I think at Epcot and stuff like that, but we're still missing things like the Citizens of Hollywood and stuff like that. And this kind of flows right into my next point, which is more of the living characters. And I put in here, thanks to Funkland, because his 4-hour video is all about kind of the evolution and development of living characters. But they used to have things like the Muppets Mobile Lab and Lucky the Dinosaur and things like that would just kind of attract people and keep them busy in between the attractions. Because sometimes it seems so easy to just focus on how many attractions you got done. But, we kind of preach the whole vacation in the vacation. And when you can sit down for a half hour and watch, a comedy act or, even just the little interactions you see now with like Kevin over at Animal Kingdom, more of those types of things that make it feel like a complete park, not just a collection of attractions.
I think, I mean, you're spot on, and a lot of there's at least 1 or 2 points where I made where it's right up this alley. Because I didn't know what you meant by things outside of attractions. I kind of guessed. I knew you were going to say what you said, but I don't know if it was the recent We Are Imagineering or something a CEO said or the CFO said or somebody from Disney said this, where they notice that people are spending too much time staring at their phones, like because they're mobile ordering, they're getting their next lightning lane, they're looking for times, they're all right on their phone, and they're missing out on like the ambiance of the park around them. And it's totally true. It's the essence of the vacation. When you're so worried about scrolling and refreshing and getting these things, you gamify the parks. And when you gamify the parks, you're trying to find the most efficient use of your time and your routing. Basically, touring plans like mathematically gave you a correct answer on how to tour the parks rather than exploring, adventuring, kind of doing how you feel. And this is exactly it. If they can reduce the amount of stuff that you need to be doing on your phone and put more things that like, oh, I got to get the next thing. What is that over there? Let's go look at that. Like, which is more important than getting your next lightning lane. I think that's definitely something they need to do for 100%. When we were doing our more relaxed touring, where where special characters are coming out, like it was Rapunzel and Flynn Rider were outside their bathroom area, and they were doing like Ring Around the Rosie with like 4 or 5 year olds, right? Like they were just kind of playing a game, and like the crowd stood by, and we were just watching them like engage with people, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Like that should be happening like everywhere in the park. Like you should not be able to walk 100 yards and not see some kind of interaction. And I'll talk about more about what I mean by that in a little bit, but I want to get you to talk about the next thing.
Yes, I flowed into that more living characters. Part of it is outside of attractions, but also even in the queues and in the attractions and in the meet and greets and stuff like that. Again, Defunctland does the whole 4-hour video on this, but like, it seems like it was building up to having these like fully autonomous like droids and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know if you need to go that far, but bring back, like Talking Mickey, and bring back, or have more things like Mr. Potato Head, who is in line that interacts with people while they're waiting and stuff like that. Like kind of the things that are that more enhanced than just kind of more static figures that can really engage with you and use technology to enhance things and make them more personable and memorable. So I think kind of, it doesn't need to go all the way to the fully autonomous, but kind of that next level that I think would help. And they used to have them. It seems like they could bring more of them back.
Well, I mean, let me just go to my next point, because this is my first point. It's living parks, right? That's what we're talking about here. And I say that my first thing is more live entertainment, characters entertainment, themed to the area purposefully. And what I mean is not like the stuff that they do at Epcot where it's like some juggler or somebody playing music or something else that just doesn't go. It's just entertainment that's just plopped down, which is I like, but like I want something that's immersive, like the Rapunzel and Flynn Rider story I just told, or there's like Peter Pan outside of Peter Pan, or other Fantasyland things. It has to be themed to that, so it feels like it's built in to the area and not just kind of plopped down and you're just somebody's walking like a character through. A cast member's like, all right, Peter Pan's coming through, don't touch him, like whatever, he's just here to wave and say hello. So like those type of things for sure. Sorry about that, I gotta keep going.
Then my fourth one was, and this is a bigger thing, but seeing how many other parks around the world have this instead of just the ride in Epcot and stuff like that. I think it would be great if Walt Disney World had a full World of Frozen. I know that's kind of very different than the other things on my list, but it just kind of made me a little bit jealous, and just like, it's such a big property with so many big fans, and like it should have more than what we currently have in Walt Disney World. So that was,
I mean, like you got to think like in Disney World, what franchises, because we're going to talk about sequels and originals in a little bit from our DVC engagement last week. Like you've got Cars. There's no Cars in Disney World until now, so we're going to get that. Toy Story has a Toy Story land. Star Wars has a Star Wars land. Are there any other properties that have like major installments that are not represented? I mean, we'll get Monsters coming soon also.
Yeah, Monsters. Finding Nemo has some things in the,
but has a show. I mean, it's not,
and
like
it has
a major
the stuff
land.
in the living seas has Nemo and stuff too.
So I'm thinking like Frozen, it's only a $3 billion movie property with billions upon billions of dollars of merch and everything else that goes along with it. This is like it's either Frozen or it's Zootopia that's going to go at Hollywood Studios at some point within the next 8 years, is my guess. Like, I can almost guarantee that World of Frozen is going to go in Animation Courtyard. I don't see Zootopia going back there. I see World of Frozen with a giant mountain weenie that's going to attract people to come back in that area of the park. That's my guess. My way too early guess of what's going to happen there.
And then my last one, hopefully this is coming in the future, but I still feel like there's no reason they couldn't have late nights at Animal Kingdom. I miss it a lot. I really love the vibe and stuff like that. And I know there's issues with the animals and there's not as much open and stuff. It's like, but do stuff like have, more characters around and music and have a show in the lagoon and stuff. They could have done it if they really wanted it to be open and attracted people. Maybe it's not every night. Maybe it's only on weekends, or I don't know what it is, but late nights at Animal Kingdom.
I don't really think it's an animals issue. I fireworks, yes, because there's giant explosions going up into the air for that would scare the animals. But like having the theme park opened and people walking around at night, I don't think that's something that's going to prevent people from, or prevent the animals from being peaceful, because you're far removed from the animals.
Yeah, no, I think it was just more because all the exhibits or attractions that leverage animals can't be open. I think that was one of the reasons. So once you take out those, they feel like there's not as much to keep people. But if you just add a few more things, and like I said, it was more about the vibe than anything. And I mean, you built Pandora to be really at night, and it's like never open at night and stuff like that. So
3 months out of the year.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I think you can really get Animal Kingdom to be like a live entertainment and food type of thing. Like take some pressure off of Epcot a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully no drinking around Animal Kingdom type of stuff, and they'd be very strict upon that. But like, I think you can get some like, really good like foods from like each of the different areas. I mean, I think anyway, I think we could talk about this forever. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that's definitely missing from Animal Kingdom. My five, we already talked about the first one, Living Parks. We just mentioned that. Definitely making the parks a different experience every single time that you go, unless you're a local and you're literally there like every day.
Yeah.
This is more of a piggyback on your first one with the family suites. I want to see more moderate resorts. I don't know the last moderate that was built. It must have been like 20 something years at this point, because everything that's been made has been a deluxe. I don't know if it was like Pop Century that was like refurbished after, September 11th, once all that stuff got stopped. Right. But I think it's time for another moderate resort. I would love to be able to see something somewhere in the price point between a moderate and a deluxe. A single 4-person room that's like in the 400s for the most part after discounts and stuff like that, versus the 300s after discount, or somewhere in that range, where you get maybe sit down meals. You might not have like the deluxe pools that deluxes have, that type of thing, but like has some of the bigger rooms. But again, you're not getting like a massively themed deluxe resort as well. I'm just assuming that there's not a demand for these, and that's why they're not building them, or they're trying to force people to go up to deluxes. I don't know, but I'd love to see more options in that moderate price range for myself, because
as I did a quick Google search, and the best I can find is that the last moderate that was built is the Port Orleans Resorts, which was in 1991.
Okay. Well, I know. Oh, I'm thinking. Art of Animation it's almost considered a moderate now, but that's still a value resort act technically. Yeah. So that's true. That's true. Yeah, I would love to see more moderate resorts. Something with some fun theming. I'd love to see that. The next one on my list is more unique stores. We're starting to see a trend in that a little bit. But like, I absolutely dislike how a lot of the major merch stores, like everything is the same. It's like you go in one store, it's another. I don't like that. I'd like to be able to go to, biggest complaint for World of Disney, Disney Springs, is just the same merch everywhere. When the store becomes bland, I'm not going to talk about the architecture and stuff like that. I like the decorations, the way it looks right now, but like, it's all the same stuff I can find on Main Street as well too, right? So not too thrilled with that, but I would love to see more unique stores and stuff like that. Like, that's another thing that people don't do a lot in Disney World. I mean, I know a lot of people shop in Disney World, but like have more stores that might pull more people out of attractions, because you have like a larger Haunted Mansion store, or a larger, like the Tomorrowland store is almost really good, but it's like it's all the lame like Tron merch that no one cares about, but it's like all stuck in there. But there's some really cool pieces in there that I think they should kind of expand. My fourth one is more book report rides and storytelling rides. I got really jealous of the new Tokyo Disneyland edition.
Yeah.
And we need more simple rides where you can go on and it just tells a story. And I know everybody likes to cry IP and all this other stuff. I want to bring my young kids on like Rapunzel or Peter Pan or a newer Peter Pan or Lion King or whatever. Like, even as my kids get older, they still love those type of things and living in the story that they remember and grew up watching. We don't get a lot of those. It's all roller coasters and
I think the last real dark ride, simple storytelling one was probably The Little Mermaid in New Fantasyland.
And we're not counting Rise.
That's not really a book report, is it?
That's true. It is a story. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it tells a story for sure, but it's kind of created a scenario for that. It's not telling a known story.
And Encanto is going to be like 10% book report because it's
I guess it's going to be
bit of the story.
It's supposed to, I guess, take place during the movie, just kind of focusing maybe on one element of it. So that might qualify.
Yeah. I want to live in the classics that we grew up watching, and the kids these days have new versions of classics from like the 90s and the 2000s, right? And kids love being part of those stories. I think us adults, we get kind of grumpy at whatever as Disney adults. Oh, we don't need any book reports; those are boring. I'm like, have you ever seen kid go through like Mermaid that's like 4 years old and like super close to Ariel as she's waving at you as you kind of omni move her by? And they're probably less expensive than like some kind of like roller coaster or something else. It's like on a track. It should be fun. My last one is more immersive experiences like Tales with Belle, basically for all ages. Like, I absolutely love that. And my family's aging out of it because my 12-year-old is not going to participate. My 10-year-old son.
We did that last time with my my youngest came with us. It was just my wife and I. My youngest, the other two didn't want to do it. And she's 11. And she was kind of like, right at that edge. Like, she still enjoyed doing it, but the cast member's like, "Do you want to come and do the march?" And she's like, "No."
No. My last time we went, and we did this. We didn't do this in our last trip, but we did it when my youngest was 6. I want to say, no, 5, almost 6, and it was a perfect age for her, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I think they can make those types of experiences for adults and older kids and stuff like that. Make it less kidsy. And I think all the parks should have like 2, 3, 4 of these experiences kind of sprinkled about. I know they're more labor intensive because you have actors and stuff like that, but like, I don't think you need that much room. You need some really good set pieces, a couple animatronics, and you don't need a ride track. It doesn't go down. It's all people power, and the parks are missing that. So I love more immersive, and it doesn't have to be an actor, right? Like, it could be like walkthrough experiences. It could be, I don't know, like, imagine a more immersive queue for Rise, right? Mm-hmm. Like something that you can walk through, you can get a lot of people through and just experience.
And I posted about this on our Discord, where it's my kind of out of the box idea for Villains Land, and it's partly because I've been watching more videos about Disneyland Paris and stuff like that, and they have a lot of walkthroughs at Disneyland Paris, and some of them are in their like Adventureland pirate area, and it's kind of like the caves, but it's pirate caves, and there's sort of like not missions, but little like can you find this and that type of thing you have to go through. But the caves are much more like ADA compliant, like it's flat ground. It's not like the Tom Sawyer Island ones. So I was like, that could be something cool for Villains Land, where you don't have to wait in an hour-long queue and stuff like that, but you could go around and find different things that like Easter eggs related to the villains and stuff like that. So I don't know. I agree with you. Like little things you can do around that are a little bit more immersive, but maybe aren't Rise the Resistance level attraction type things.
Like, I would love, I mean, like, that's why a lot of people love Tom Sawyer Island, because it was a lot of walkthrough. But like, imagine if that was not trapped behind like a raft that you had to ride across, right? It was integrated into Adventureland, like in the Treehouse or with Jungle Cruise or something else. Like, imagine if that was like the queue you had to walk through to get to the boats in Jungle Cruise, right? Or something else like that. We definitely like, imagine if Moana or Journey of Water was more integrated with like the land or anything else like that. Imagine like that was one path to get into the land pavilion. It was all blended together. Like, there should be more of that. And I hope Disney does something as you transition from like Piston Peak into Villains Land.
That's a good point.
Like that. So it'd be a lot of fun. So those are our 5 things Walt Disney World is missing right now. And generally speaking, it's all about better hotels and like give us more things to do that aren't like mega attractions, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think we're slowly getting that. Especially with like adding Walt to like Carousel of Progress and stuff like that. So there's a lot of pluses going on. All right, Phil, you came up with the next one, I think. Oops, I cut and paste. I came up with the next one. Or did I not label this properly? Yes. Oh, no, I came up with the next one. It's the middle one. 5 things that would be a bad sign as Piston Peak is being built. So I figured like we could put like some of our worries in here. Maybe stay ahead of some of the curmudgeons on social media or something else like that. So basically, as we watch Piston Peak being built, because I think the demo is almost done, and within the next 6 months, I would imagine we're going to start seeing some changes to the ground, maybe some foundation work sort of things, and that's going to take about a year to build. And so because it's so wide open that we're going to get progress on like everything, especially since it's all an outdoor attraction. There's no show building that they can hide stuff in. So these are some of the things that we're thinking about that might be like, uh-oh kind of moments. You know, they might be completely taken out of context, but like things that we might see or be like, oh, I don't know about this, that type of thing. So I'll go first, right?
Okay.
So the first one, and we'll go back and forth on this one. My first one is the lack of scale. Right. So in all the art, it's like nice big mountains. You can really get a sense of like you being in, you know, the Western like forests and national parks and stuff like that. You like, so the scope of that, like you should be able to feel like you're in a national park. So you don't see the outside world once you're in it. But if it starts looking smaller than it should be, that's when I start to get worried.
Yeah, when it's Piston Hill, not Piston Peak or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
My first one, the first one that came to mind is, and this is only partially related to, or I guess tangentially related to Piston Peak, is if all of a sudden it becomes clear they're building Piston Peak, and then there's like maybe when the new CEO comes in or something like that, they start like slowing down things. And all of a sudden, this is supposed to be part one of two lands going in, right? It's this and Villains Land. If all of a sudden it's like, Villains Land, we're going to pause that, and maybe that, but you know, where it becomes clear like they're only going to work on the front part, and the back is being like, that's going to be kicked down the line a little bit and that sort of thing.
I think the big first clue would be like Piston Peak is getting built and all of a sudden the train tracks are being put back without anything else being put in that area, right? Something like that. That would definitely, I can't imagine a world where Villains Land is like something, you know, it has to be a massive like economics thing or anything else like that going on to change, just because there's a very good chance the next CEO is one of 2 people that are actively like inside the boardroom making these decisions, and the money's clearly earmarked for this at this point. So it'd be difficult. But yeah, there's definitely some signs where there's plenty of people they're going to say it anyway. Like, this drainage isn't going in there. What are they doing? I think they canceled Villains. I'm like, you got that from like a line in a permit somewhere. So my next one is sightlines not looking great, right? So we got a whole sense of like when you're at the Haunted Mansion, you're looking at the woods, and when you're coming down from the hub towards where the ferry boat docked up, that you can kind of see over Piston Peak. It's kind of talked about on scale, but like the sightlines where you just can see everything, right? It's you don't get a chance to explore, things aren't revealed, and I don't know how we're gonna tell that, but I think once we get an idea of like lack of scale, then the next thing that leads to is like the sight lines start getting screwed up, because I think they're really relying, at least in the art, it seems like they're relying on the size and scope of the project to be able to delineate between like Big Thunder and Haunted Mansion and kind of phase into Villains Land that way. So that's my next big thing, would be like the sight lines not looking great.
Yep. And you were looking about sight lines. I was thinking about another area they've focused on and talking is about that they're conscious of noise bleed. And so my worry is that and this is going to be down the road more when they're actually testing and things like that, well, all of a sudden people that are like walking over by Country Bears or something like that, you can hear the cars zipping by, and you can hear
horns honking
and Mater saying stuff and stuff like that. Like you said, it needs to, the sightlines are important, but I think the noise factor is as well. Is that not to say you can't hear a little bit or something that kind of piques your interest in what's going on over there, but like to clearly be like, okay, that's over there. That's not, you know, breaking up the immersion of the Frontierland proper.
Yeah, I definitely got it. And another bad sign that Piston Peak is going bad, I guess we could say, is not enough walking paths. Like one of the things that I really liked is that it creates an area right there where now Haunted Mansion can be attached to Big Thunder Mountain while walking through an immersive transition. But like that whole front part of the Rivers of America is just not completely saturated with people constantly because it's the only way to get through that part of the park. That we could push people back out there. And I think that's going to be more alleviated with Villains Land when there's restaurants and bathrooms and other stuff there. But like bad side would be like, oh, here's the entrance to the new attraction, and that's the only road going in. There's nothing else. Yeah. So that would be another bad side. And that would be kind of like something else is on hold or something's been like radically shifted down.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of these things are all the things that we were hopeful about with these plans, and why it's kind of like, okay, they're getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island, which had XYZ, but they seem to be replacing it with kind of comparable things. Right. So I think Walking Paths is definitely one of them. The other one is that I put is that not enough water. Everyone's complaining about getting rid of all the water, and in some of the concept art, it seems like there's a good amount of flowing water and waterfalls and stuff like that. And if at the end of the day, it just looks like a little trickle coming down or something like that, I think that'll be a big disappointment.
Yeah, 100%. My one is basically the same line. It's not enough trees being planted. Yeah. It's one thing to have just one big giant spire of like Piston Peak kind of sticking out there, but to really make it look good, especially from the concept art for both versions, the cartoon and otherwise, is a lot of trees, pine trees and stuff like that. A lot of pine trees would make the Frontierland area where Country Bears is look even better with all those type of trees lining around. I know there's like a desert transition, but you got a desert in the back, and you got a swamp, and then you've got whatever frontier. I mean, like it's already not cohesive as it is, but like those trees would make the area look very cool. So I hope that they're going to use a lot of trees, and you got to think that they would, because that does help with like noise pollution and sight lines and stuff like that as well.
The last one I put is development. This was something that I know annoyed me. Not that they did this, but that they only did this versus like maybe kind of focusing on the wrong thing when they were developing Tiana's, is that instead of really getting us excited about the attraction and what the storyline is, and then having some background information to fill it in, they kind of focus just on that. So I said, if all of a sudden we're getting like 17 different videos from Imagineering about backstory and all the field trips they're taking and stuff like that, but nothing about the story or the experience of what we're actually going to do, then I get a little worried, where I feel like they sometimes focused on the wrong part about what people are actually care about.
When you wrote this and you put field trips in quotation marks, you can just see like all the people like, just is giving them free vacations, a trip down to New Orleans. I'm like, well, first of all, it's probably a couple $1,000s from $1 billion company to send these people, so it's not a big deal. But like, if that's the only thing that they could showcase with this, we don't need a backstory why Mater's doing races. They're cars, and this is what they do.
I was like, I think the ones that are the attractions the best are the ones that you can fully enjoy if you know nothing of the backstory. Yep. But there is a backstory available if you want to look into it and find out about it. I think Big Thunder, for example, does a good job with that. Versus Tiana's, where it felt like they were only focusing on the backstory and things like that, versus what the actual ride story is. So,
and that's why that attraction is a failure in a lot of people's eyes, is because the story's not clear. By like, you're halfway through and you're just getting what the storyline is supposed to be. My last one is, again, this is all kind of banking off all the other ones, is that you can see Big Thunder Mountain from Haunted Mansion. Yeah, maybe you might see the top end spire. I hope not. But like, I don't want to be able to see like the train kind of roaring past as you're kind of getting in line with Haunted Mansion. I know they can easily do sight lines and stuff like that, but I just hope that it's blended so beautifully that like, as you're walking back to Haunted Mansion, maybe there's a new queue entrance, maybe they do something differently with that. But like, looks like you're walking through like a spooky forest, and it's just you don't see the roller coaster, whatever's 200 yards away, 300 yards away, whatever it is. So that's my other big worry.
And my last one is around the track and kind of more the actual ride and the ride vehicles and stuff like this, where it seemed like it started out, it was going to be these like kind of fully trackless off-road ride vehicles and stuff like that. And then the next thing you see something on a track. We don't really know what the end result is going to be, but I hope it's just not super obvious, and it's just kind of like a ride vehicle going on a track slowly up a hill and then down. Like I want it to feel like you really are off-roading, and that's what giving you the excitement. So kind of like if all of a sudden we're seeing a very obvious track in there, that'll be a little disappointing, I think.
I don't mind the track, right? Like you could do a lot of things like kind of like the Indiana Jones like ride vehicle. It's on a track, but has its own hydraulic system to kind of give you the feel of everything. Like I think they could do a lot of things that way. But yeah, if it's just like a car, like basically a very, very complex, like Tomorrowland Speedway type of thing, then I'm going to get like, oh, it's not going to be good. So yeah, that's definitely one that will, I think is going to get a lot of people worried.
Yeah.
With that one. Okay.
And that kind of ties into my previous point where we just don't know a lot about that.
Yeah.
And I think people like, that's it's getting people a little nervous about it. It feels like they're building it and we don't know if they don't know what it's actually going to be at the end.
I think they know what they're doing. I just hope it's good. And I'm always an optimist. I think that with the new changeover Imagineering and the things that they're doing, I think they're going to hit this one out of the park because it is going to be a colossal cluster if they screw up a giant segment of like the Magic Kingdom. That's just like, oh, like it's not like, oh, you dislike Galaxy's Edge. Well, it's tucked away. You only can get in there from like 2 different tunnels, and you can kind of ignore it, right? This one you cannot ignore a mess up. So I have confidence that they're going to be able to do this correctly, or at least it might not be like a banger in your eyes, but it'll also be like it looks pretty, and you know, I enjoy walking through it. Right? That's why you need walking paths. All right, so we that was a negative one. We sandwiched the negative one and a couple positive ones. So, Phil, this is kind of an end of the year type of thing, but this is 5 things we want to see in 2026. So I'll give you the choice. Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to do all 5 of yours in a row?
Let's go back to the other way where I'll do all mine and then you do all yours.
Okay.
Sounds
very good.
I'll kick off. I wound up with like 6. So I gave one to an honorable mention because we've kind of already talked about it already, but like that there's news of a new themed lounge that is coming to Walt Disney World. So
I like that.
Like they did with Beacon Barrel, maybe there's something Haunted Mansion related or something like that. But we get news of another themed lounge coming, but we've kind of already talked about that. So
they're definitely putting a Haunted Mansion lounge in the Magic Kingdom. I mean, that would sell buckets worth of whatever
mugs,
cocktails,
and drinks, and cocktails.
Oh, yeah, come on. Yes, absolutely.
So things that I hope to happen and see it in 2026. I hope that both Avengers Doomsday and the Mando and Grogu movie, I hope they're both really, really great and do well, and that I want to see them multiple times. I hope they're not flops. I hope they re-energize both of those kind of franchises as far as movies a little bit.
Okay, I mean, I absolutely hope both of them do too. Which one do you think is more likely to be the revitalization of the franchise? Or do you think both of them are going to be?
I think Avengers Doomsday will be kind of like I don't know if it'll like totally restart the whole, MCU and stuff like that, but I think it's something that it's like a tentpole that people have really been focusing on and waiting on. And I think it's going to be huge and big and stuff. So I think it'll actually at least do really well. Mando and Grogu, I don't know. I think it's going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be a bomb or anything like that, but I also don't think it's going to make $2 billion or anything like that. So I don't know.
They've got all the right people on Doomsday, right? So like they have the directors, the writers, the actors that are going to be in it. Like it's not going to be any lack of talent, right? It's basically what story they decide to tell and how they execute on that. And I'm confident that it'll be a good movie that will get people psyched about the MCU again. Mando and Grogu, I'm not sure that it's going to be a great movie. I think it's most likely going to be a very fun movie. It's going to be like, you're going to see Mando. He's going to be going back to his old shenanigans where he's just going around bounty hunting, kind of doing different things. He's kind of part of the scenery rather than being the main character of the scenery. Like that's the thing that we lost in season 3. Like he was like the story element. Like he just needs to be a guy like bounty hunting, and there's all these big things happening around him, but he's not the main character in that story. So, I hope we get that, and I hope it's fun because I'm looking forward to some new missions in Millennium Falcon.
Yes, Run for sure. Yep. The next thing I'm hoping to see is that we get more, and this is probably at D23, that we get more concrete plans for Villains Land, and that it's very clear that it's more than just 2 attractions. That there's going to be other things to do in the land, whether it's additional small attractions or walking paths or games or whatever, but just that it's very clear that this isn't just here's a new land with an E-ticket and a D-ticket and a restaurant and that's that. Like I hope that it's clear there's more to it than that.
I hope that too, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I think more likely we'll get like more concrete, like Villains Land art and maybe an idea of like the scale and size of the whole land, right? Because there's more land being cleared outside of the train tracks currently right now. And if that's going to be used for these attractions or not. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that information for sure.
Yep. one thing I'd like to see announced or happen is that some sort of update comes to Pandora, the world of Avatar, whether it's like an updated version of Flight of Passage, whether it's like some other walk around characters, whether it's, if it starts staying open later, they're going to have new things at night there or something like that. It just feels like, as much as I love the land, it's been a little the same for a while. So I'd like to see some updates to it.
Didn't they just re-add or repair the aquatic animals or something?
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah, they were there when the land opened, and they like squirted water and stuff like that. And the fact that they said they came back, I was like, I didn't even know they were gone.
No, I didn't know. I didn't even know what they were there in the first place.
Yeah, I remember that when it first opened, and then it's just a lot of things that started. You didn't wander around as much as you used to when it first opened and stuff.
I think if Avatar, the new one coming out shortly, was it Avatar
Fire and Ash?
Ash. I couldn't think of Ash. I mean, that's going to be $1 billion movie, right? Like, but like the next one's coming out in like 2 years after that or something like that. That's the cadence. If it's any time to update Pandora, it's now you've got 2 other movies and one on its way to kind of add ammunition to that. And that might be a really cool like D23 announcement.
Yeah.
Like if Fire and Ash like kills it at the box office, I think that would be like, okay, let's take some of like you have to think that there's somewhere somebody has concept art for what a new attraction would look like, right?
I feel like James Cameron mentioned that he wanted like to update the film at one point or something like that. I mean, that's the benefit of a digital experience, right? That you can change it up. So
by the time anything gets done, it'll be 10 years old at that point. So it's due for something, right?
My next one is kind of more of a continuation that it's been nice to see over the past year or so, is that they just seem to be doing more maintenance and small updates to things. We're just finding out like, oh, that effect was fixed or this was changed or whatever, or some of the smaller, they're updating Buzz Lightyear or whatever, things like that. I hope they keep up with that. I kind of put it in that the parks, they want them in their best shape and top shape and stuff like that. And that they keep working on things like that versus kind of letting things slide. So
I think when we do our prediction episode for 2026 in a couple of weeks, why don't we do a prediction get a list of all the closed, unused building spaces, like,
like Stitch or whatever.
Stitch and stuff like that. Yeah. And whether or not they will be used or demoed, like, the Life Pavilion and stuff like that. Like there's rumors going around that it's going to be demoed soon or something like that. Like, so we should make a list of all the unused things that people can't go to anymore, whether or not they're going to be, something will be done with them, whether they get revitalized or removed.
Yeah.
But I think you got one more. Sorry.
One more. And it's just kind of like keep building on what they've been doing with Communicore Hall, how especially for some of the festivals like the Festival of the Arts and stuff like that, they've been adding a lot of cool exhibits and stuff like that. Just kind of like enhance the area. Like we were a little disappointed this summer for a Food and Wine Festival. They didn't really do anything with the space. Again, I think it's a good space. It just could use some more theming when it's not dressed up for like Festival of the Arts and stuff. So just kind of keep adding to it, keep going with it, and kind of make it incremental improvements to that over the years as well.
No, I'm with you on that for sure. Though I do like that space being kind of empty. Like when you walk in there, it's a nice quiet place to kind of chill. It would be nice if they sold more food and
and it doesn't need to be a lot. Like I said, it could just have more comfortable furniture. It could have a mural on the wall. It doesn't need to be a ton of stuff, but just kind of like recognize that this needs to be plussed and kind of do some plussing to it.
Do you think Disney would ever build like a kind of like a temporary bar in there where you can actually belly up to a bar and have a couple drinks while you're in there and move on? Or
maybe. I mean, I think they have the one food service place has taps and stuff like that. So I don't see why they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So,
cool place to kind of hang out. Maybe put some live music or band or one music, like kind of how they do in Disney Springs, right? I think that might be kind of neat. All right. So one of my 5 things I want to see in 2026, I want to see hints of what's after Villains Land. Something new has to be announced in D23, right? So I don't know with so much being built with Tropical Americas and Villains and Piston Peak and Monsters Inc. And there's going to be a lot of details about all those new projects. I think they want to announce something new, right? That's coming. I don't know if it's going to be like, hey, we're redoing Stitch, or hey, we're doing something here, or updating whatever. But I'd like to see some kind of hints at what's to come at a later date. And I don't think the more I think about it, the more I don't think I'm going to see anything with this.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be anything big. Like there could be something
maybe Pandora is
smaller.
one, right? Like when you said about an update to Pandora, that's a brand new movie that's going in there. Like, I think there could be things like that, like a test track kind of announcement like they made. But I don't think we'll get anything that's a major.
Yeah, I definitely think there could be new things like that, like maybe even Imagination Pavilion update or something like that. But I don't know if that's necessarily after Villains Land.
Now, that's going to be a great D23. Like I'm just sad that Matt's not doing his Dis Happenings anymore. He's not going to have that interview with Scott where he has his whole giant wish list for D23 and gets like 10% of them correct or anything else like that. So he's always the optimist, and I love that. My next one is ticket deals. The only way I go to Disney World in 2026, other than maybe like a random like Down and Back or something else like that, is with a ticket deal. And I don't think we're going to get that, but that's one thing I want to see, and I'm going to stick to it. There was a Reddit post somewhere where like, what do you think? Where's your threshold for Disney tickets? And like they didn't complain about like increased food costs, hotel costs. It was all about tickets, and I'm like, I wonder if that's getting back to them at any point. Yeah. My next one is kind of like your first point. It was a new and better Star Wars and their leadership. I know Kathleen Kennedy is not long for Lucasfilm. She already announced that she's looking to retire shortly, but no plans in action. I just want to see Star Wars being good again. And I think we all went through that phase. Not we, but like the internet went through the phase of like hating on Star Wars and ragging on them and all this men versus women and all this other stuff. I want them to get back to where Star Wars is for little kids and adults alike. There's no new messaging and all this other stuff. It's generally, Star Wars has always been generally a male-focused IP brand, just like Princesses is a female-dominated IP brand. And I would love to see a new direction in Star Wars. And I don't know if we get that in 2026. Maybe we'll get an announcement of who's in charge and we all like it and get happy and excited again. And the same thing about the MCU with like, we have all of our complaints about all these different projects over the last 5 years. I just want good movies and good stories and get excited again about these things. So I hope we get that, especially with Doomsday. If Doomsday comes back and that hits it, that's my feeling. Like, okay, I can't wait for the next Avengers movie, that sort of thing. My next one is we'll know who the new CEO is going to be. I think it's in Q1 of next year. I think they're going to make the announcement. Right?
Yeah, I forget when it is. It's definitely in 2026. I forget what time.
I think it's the first 3 months of 2026. It might be the spring-ish, like March, April timeframe. I know they don't have plans, like discrete plans for it, but I think they want to announce it next year. So I just hope the new CEO makes sense. If that's Josh D'Amaro, I'm fine with that. But I want him to be able to kind of spell out his vision for the parks, the movies, everything else. Like, I just hope that now that if he's now in charge of everything, he could be that person to lead the way, and hopefully he has a partner with him, whoever that may be, that can kind of be another duo at the head of the Disney ship rather than like a solo person like Iger or something else.
Whether it is Josh or Dana or whoever it's going to be, hopefully there's kind of like a plan for like
a tandem,
whether it's a tandem or a trio or whatever it is. That it's like it's not just like one business person kind of making up all the decisions. There's kind of like more of a creative person, a movie person, a business, whatever it is. That it's like kind of like a team that like really works together.
100%.
And I did just look up, and it just said early 2026. It didn't necessarily say Q1 or whatever. It just said early.
I'm assuming Q1 is early 2026, the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
And my last one is an announcement for Space Mountain or Spaceship Earth refurb in place. I think D23 would be a perfect announcement for like Spaceship Earth is going down in April of 2027 for a whole new vision, blah, 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 or, something like that, All right. So DBC engagement, Phil, from last week. Quick transition because I asked Phil to add in another 5 things, and now we're at 52 minutes into the show. We definitely didn't need this, but that's what I do. We make long shows for Weezy. DBC engagement last week was Toy Story 5 teaser trailer came out. Zootopia 2 is out just a couple weeks, or just right now. Obviously,
at the time of writing it was just a couple weeks.
Obviously, we want films to be good, whether they're originals or sequels. There's people that are complaining about there's not enough originals and there's too many sequels and stuff like that. But the question is, Phil, and you're asking this of me because this was your question, but I'm stealing it from you for the sake of the show. Do you get more excited for sequels with characters or original stories in general? So, Phil, I'm asking you, what is your opinion?
Yeah. So when I thought about this, my answer is I want to say that it's originals, but if I'm being honest, I think it's sequels are the things that in general I get more excited about when they're not. Now, an original, when it actually comes out and I see it, sometimes that blows me away, and that's kind of like a best case scenario. But when a sequel comes out to characters that I know and love, like when Zootopia 2 was announced, I was excited for it because I knew about it. When some of these other movies, whether it's Hext or Elio or whoever it is, it's kind of like, okay, I hope it's good. But I don't know. So I think my honest answer, as far as like when something gets announced, what am I more excited about? It would be sequels.
For me, it's kind of both, right? Like I have equal level of excitement for both, but it's like a different type of excitement.
Yeah.
Like for sequels, I'm excited to see the characters I know and love coming back again with a new story. As long as the story's good, right? And the music's good, that type of thing, right? Like everybody's hating on the new Toy Story 5 movie that's coming out. I'm like, I would love to see more Toy Story. Like there's the characters that have pull at my heartstrings and make me laugh and smile. Let's add more to that storyline. Future attractions, future stories, like anything else. I want to see more. Like even Forky is still like a joke in the family because of this short that he put out that had nothing to do with the movie, right? I want to see more of that. I get excited about knowing, learning more about the characters, getting new experiences. That being said, if you ask me to choose one, it's going to be originals, right? Now, I'm a type of person, like I always like change. I always like new things. I like exploring, having new experience and stuff like that. And the idea of going out and being excited about like a new Disney show or movie or new IP, and it like being there at the beginning as it like took off, right? Like the last big one, let's say it's probably Frozen from all of them. I can't think of another one that was a major original. Encanto, but that didn't like take off, right? That was like
it was a little during COVID and stuff like that, but yeah,
right. And with Frozen, like I didn't get it at first, right? But I was also not really the Disney adult I was at the time either, because I was probably right before I went with my family for the first time. So I think it was like 2014. My daughter started getting excited about Frozen. And I saw the movie. I just kind of shrugged my shoulders, and here we are billions of dollars later.
Yeah.
But like I was hoping Wish was going to be great because it's a new experience that I can give to my, at the time 6-year-old daughter or 7-year-old daughter that was like, she doesn't have her own Disney princess that my daughter had, or my son, having a new experience with the Cars. Cause I know a lot of boys love Cars growing up and stuff like that. They were part of like the new movie. I remember going to the movies. I have no idea what movie it was, but it was like the first movie that announced like Cars 3, like the brand new trailer for Cars 3. And a bunch of like young teenage boys that were there to see that movie were like gasping and cheering, because that was the movie they grew up watching like 4, 5, 6 years ago. So they're like that hype, right? So I would love to see originals. And it's not that I hate sequels. I love sequels. It's just originals are like, oh, what's new? What are some new things that they kind of thought up? So that's kind of the way I think about it. The next question then, Phil, is which Disney, Pixar, Fox, what animated property would you like to see another film made of? And I'm assuming it does make a difference if it's has like I want to see Toy Story 6 or anything.
Yeah, it could be
like
anything.
That.
I mean, I was probably trying to think of things that haven't had sequels yet, but it could certainly be anything else. For me, the big thing is that did they have like kind of cool world building that I want to explore more in characters and stuff like that, which is why I think Zootopia works so well for sequels. Like you could keep going with those forever.
It's just a world.
Yeah. So the two that I kind of went through, there's a number that kind of jumped out at me, but ones I put here are Big Hero 6. I think that was a really fun movie. I think it had like a series on Disney Plus or Disney Channel, but I think a full blown movie could be great. And then the other one is, again, because the world building I thought was so cool, was Elemental. I know didn't do great in the movies to start, but it kind of word of mouth went there, and it did pretty well once it got on Disney Plus. Maybe even a Disney Plus series could be good for that, where you focus on different characters or different land or something like that. But that's a property I'd like to revisit.
So I mean, I would like to see another like Finding Nemo or Finding Dory or Finding Some Fish movie again. I think that'd be cool, right? But that wouldn't be one I chose. I mean, you could keep making Toy Story movies. I'll go watch all of them as long as the music is good and the story is good, and they add new toys to the roster of our friends. But the ones I chose two that didn't have sequels. And my first one is Onward. I love the idea of this movie. I love the world. It's magic. It's all this other stuff. I was very disappointed with the story that they created because it was rather sad and everything else like this. I was hoping it was just going to be this grand adventure and not like this kind of really, I don't know, attempting to artificially like pull at my heartstrings type of thing. Like, yeah, didn't really like this about like their father and stuff like that. It's just like, can we just have a happy, fun movie here for a while? So I think that world is really cool. They did the animation style is really fun. I think they can really do something there. And the other one is an oldie. I would love to see them be able to do a new Robin Hood, but only if they can keep the original animation style and the original music style. Like, the Disney animation has done all these like samey kind of animation styles over the last like decade. Like, I would love to see them go back to kind of some like old school styles. And I don't know what a sequel to Robin Hood would look like.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what the plot line of that. I don't know their kids or something like that.
No, I mean, like, it could be just stories of Robin Hood. Go back and just tell Robin Hood stories. It could be I don't know. I mean, like, I don't write movies for a living, but like taking those characters or that world or that style and kind of, you know, maybe do like a King Arthur type of storytelling, but same art style, same kind of characters, make them animals or whatever. I think that might be really fun to do. But like, I just love the music and the art style of that movie, and I just want to see more of it. And like, I don't really care what the story is as long as it's good. It could be some other kind of fairy tale. It doesn't make a difference.
Gotcha.
I like to see that. We got a lot of good engagement from the community here, Phil. And as we're just hitting the 1 hour mark, or close to it, you want to go over what some of the folks that said in the community?
Try to go through and you can react to them. So Weezy said, I think I get more excited about sequels rather than originals. I go back and watch the original, and then I have to go to the theater to see the sequel. I almost always see the sequel in the theaters. Originals, on the other hand, I normally wait to get the overall feel from others before I go see them. So he listed, for example, he hasn't seen Elio yet because
I haven't either.
Yeah. And movies that he would like to see a sequel to, he listed Brave.
That's a good one. I almost put that one in there.
Yeah, it's another like interesting world and interesting style and kind of unique and stuff like that. And
you could add almost anything to that storyline too.
Yeah,
which would be great.
TL Madden said probably sequels to great adventure movies where you want to see another adventure. So he was kind of adding how like Indiana Jones and Star Wars are kind of like for that. So things that he would want to see for that. He said originals, though, it's hard to get excited for the unknown. He said sometimes it could be another project from like a great director. So if you know, like a new Spielberg movie is coming out, that it almost feels like a sequel to a Spielberg franchise or whatever, or Christopher Nolan or something like that. But otherwise, it kind of seems like sequels are more hype for him. He said, let's see, movies, as long as the creator of the original is involved, lots of movies could have sequels. But he says the problem with modern sequels is they try to live off the success of the past movie without the original creator. One, he said, I guess he forgot the animation part of this, but he felt he felt that Tron Ares has more of a story to tell, and that he would want to see a sequel to that, which is kind of, I haven't seen Tron Ares yet, so I have no idea.
We just need to wait another decade for another Tron movie to fail in the movie theaters again.
But I mean, that is definitely something where it seems like a movie they created a cool like setting and style to it and stuff like that. So you want to revisit that, I guess.
There are some things you just don't need like updates to. Like Tron was like a creature of the time it came out when you didn't know anything about computers and networks. Now it just looks kind of silly because we live in a digital world already. We know how that stuff works. Like I'd love to see them try to create a different kind of not Tron, but another thing of like technology of like today type of thing, whatever that looks like. I don't know, but maybe that's another original, not a sequel though. So there you go. Answering my own question.
Mama Six said she tends to get more excited about originals than sequels. Movies that need a sequel, she lists out WALL-E, Treasure Planet, Emperor's New Groove, Hercules, basically films that have more of a cult-like following, and that the sequels, so the problem with that is the sequel would really need to hit it out of the park. It's not like Moana 2 where you already know it's going to be huge, right? Because so many people like Moana. It's like Treasure Planet was a fun movie. I think that would be a fun world to revisit for sure. But like, are people getting excited for that? I don't know.
I mean, the Disney used to always have like the straight to video sequels to a lot of movies
that's true.
and stuff like that, and we don't really get that much anymore with some of this stuff.
It should be straight to D+ or something.
Well, I mean, I guess Moana 2 was going to be straight to D+, right?
That's
but
true,
they're like, oh, no, let's make $1 billion movie out of this one instead, right? Yeah. So,
Herdamaniac said, I can't think of a more exciting potential sequel than E.T. He says he knows Spielberg is very adamant about leaving as a standalone, but he thinks it would be a juggernaut at the box office, but has no idea how the storyline would progress. I have no idea how E.T. 2 would do at the box office. I mean, it's got huge nostalgia and stuff like that, but this, like, I don't even know if my kids have seen it. Like, I just don't know if it's like kids today are really into it, where the next generation would be excited about it. I don't know.
My kids, we put it on, I think a year ago at a friend's house, and the kids watched it and were like kind of into it, kind of bored. Like, they weren't bored enough where they started wandering away from the TV and doing something else, but they weren't like too excited about it that when it was time to leave, because we had to stop the movie like 3/4 of the way through, that they weren't like too disappointed that they were leaving. Also, I don't know. What do you think about this? E.T. has a kid, crash lands on Earth, and it's like a Home Alone type of movie, but with like an alien, and E.T. has to come back and find the kid. So like Home Alone, but in reverse with crashing on Earth. So
Alien Home Alone. There we go.
Yeah, done.
And then I think there's the last one, Lumpy. Yep. First, he had a whole big long thing saying how it's more nuanced and how basically if it's a movie is meant to have a sequel, like trilogies, and he mentioned Harry Potter, how that was always meant to be multiple books and stuff like that. Then of course he wants the sequel, but if it's like otherwise he would want more original content. And I kind of got back to it. I was like, well, let's leave out things that were already supposed to be multi-part, just kind of standalone movies in a vacuum. And he said, in that case, I'll take the original, but a movie that he thinks would have a sequel. He definitely went off script. This is not what I would have picked, but he said John Carter, which I know is supposed to be like a trilogy, I think, like that to begin with. He said he knows it made lost a whole lot of money, but he feels that was more due to poor management during the film and production as opposed to the quality of it. I don't think I've actually seen this movie, so I can't.
I don't think I have either.
I know it was like a huge, like, kind of, I think it's based on a book series and stuff like that. It was supposed to be like a big thing. So I'm assuming it's a big, interesting world building and stuff like that. So
there are a ton of like young adult and like entry level science fiction fantasy novels out there that Netflix and Disney and Apple are just buying up to potentially make series out of. I don't know if they're making movies out of them, but like, what's the one season 2 that's going to be coming out soon that Disney Plus
Percy Jackson.
Percy Jackson. My family loved that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think they would have loved it as much if it was just like a movie, because like it needed more space to breathe, right, and tell the story. So, I would love to see a lot of this stuff in like Disney Plus content. We're always looking for new shows to watch with the family, and there's not much out there for that. But like, I'm with them on that. There's a lot of different things that we can kind of do together. All right, so to wrap this up, next week's DBC engagement is going to be our first 5 things game that we played today. So what do you think is missing from Walt Disney World right now? Things they should have already added, created, or not gotten rid of. I think we should get rid of the not gotten rid of, because that's just going to bring up a whole bucket of worms I don't want to talk about, because it's boring. We've been arguing about that forever. Anyway, so what do you think is missing from Walt Disney World? They should be like new things, like new things that they want to plus up certain areas.
Yeah, I think I added that last one because I was thinking about like the Animal Kingdom at nighttime, because they used to be open later and stuff like that. So something, but obviously it would be new and different, and that's, it's not just bringing back something as it was in the past.
Remember, in 1992, they took away this one little thing that I love. They should bring that back. It should be more. Should be more things about like new, fresher takes. Like what elements are missing. It doesn't have to be specific things.
Maybe
like
that's
whatever.
the way I take it. It has to at least be a fresh take on something if it's something they've done in the past. Yeah.
Let's make this an interesting conversation and not devolve into nostalgia bait.
Yep.
And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody right now, Phil, at all. So, all right. That being said, let's wrap this up here, Phil. I think we're good. Did I forget anything as usual? I think I nailed it.
I think you got it all. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's land this baby here. Everybody, thank you for watching, listening. Make sure you hit the likes button and leave a comment below. But with that being said, we'll see you next week, and have a good one.
Take care.